Part 39. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 382. Zhang Tian immediately came out to greet him. When they arrived at the VIP room, Wu Yu said, "I'm sorry to keep you waiting. But this time, I have collected all the elixirs I owe you. You can count them all." Zhang Tian was startled and reached out to take the Sumiji bag from Wu Yu's hand. He smiled and said, "How is it possible? You are just on a mission, and the time is so short, how can?" He was stunned before he finished speaking. When he looked carefully, he found that there were 360 Kanghai Yuankai pills in the Sumuru bag, not a few of them. Not to mention paying it off in 9 more months, Wu Yu paid off Yanhuang Optimus Prime's debt in the 2nd month. "Brother Zhang, thank you very much anyway. The Yanhuang Optimus Prime has also helped me a lot recently." Wu Yu thanked him sincerely. "When I was in Shushan, I had too few friends, so in the end there weren't many people to help me speak. Now, just a few days after arriving, there are Zhang Tian, Ji Qinggan, Zhang Xuanhuan, Luo Ben, Qin Fui, and others, who can all be considered friends. You are so incredible. In just 1 month, you have collected so much wealth. A gentleman's words, a whip of a horse. Wu Yu, you are a person who keeps promises. Zhang admires you, very impressed. You are willing to let me use Yanhuang Optimus Prime in advance. How can I let you down?" Wu Yu smiled. Zhang Tian accepted these Kanghai Yuankai pills, patted his chest and said, "From now on, these will be trivial matters. If you still want magical weapons, you can come to Yungxiao Dharma Hall. I trust you. It doesn't matter if you get them in advance in the future. It is indeed a good thing to have such an acquaintance here." Wu Yu already needs to update the weapons of his clones, but he is still not used to owing others, so he holds back for the time being. Now there are only more than 20 Kanghai Yuankai pills left, which is relatively poor. After all, he still has so many clones to feed. Wu Yu was not in a hurry to leave, and the two started chatting. Wu Yu said, "I met ghost cultivators on this mission and killed 2 of them. I didn't expect that these 2 people had so many Kanghai Yuankai pills in their bodies. It's my luck." Only then did Zhang Tian know the source of his wealth. He slapped his thigh and said, "Brother, I also accept ghost cultivators' magic tools and various materials. However, for example, magic tools worth 300,000 yuan of golden elixir in the world of ghost cultivators, I accept other people's magic tools. Half of it is only 150,000, if you want it, I can give you 200,000. You can understand this a little bit. After all, the ghost cultivator's magic weapon is indeed used by some people, but it is difficult to sell it at a high price. Frankly speaking, if I give you 200,000 yuan, I can only sell 220,000 yuan at most, which is just hard money." Wu Yu was shocked. For him, this was a windfall. It would be great if he could sell it. At least Yanhuang Emperor City did not want these things, let alone give Wu Yu credit. In the end, he sold all the ghost cultivating items, including Wanfu Ghost Fork, to Zhang Tian. Among them, Wanfu Ghost Fork accounted for the majority, and other magical artifacts were not very valuable. Zhang Tian did the math and gave Wu Yu a total of 200 Kanghai Yuankai pill worth 200,000 yuan. It's exactly the same as the example he gave before. On the ghost cultivator side, Wanfu Ghost Cha can indeed be sold for more than 250,000 yuan in gold elixir. I just handed over more than 300 Kanghai yuan jindan, and most of them came back immediately. Wu Yu was extremely pleasantly surprised. In this way, he could be regarded as a person with many spiritual resources for the time being. "With these things, I haven't been short of money recently." "You're welcome. If you have anything similar in the future, you can come to my place." Zhang Tian's main purpose was to make friends with Wu Yu. Regarding Yanhuang Optimus Prime, He also saw Wu Yu's character, and naturally knew that Wu Yu was the kind of honest person. After bidding farewell to Zhang Tian, Wu Yu returned to Qishan camp. The Qishan camp was still very lively. Wu Yu returned from his first mission and was warmly welcomed by the Yanhuang immortal army. They had a rowdy night and it was very lively. Wu Yu especially liked the three younger people who had already reached the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. These were the three people he selected with the most outstanding talents in that preparation camp. Of course, although they are young, they are still older than Wu Yu. It is estimated that they have been practicing Taoism for about 50 years, which is about the same as Shenzhen Yu. Of course, considering the lifespan of 300 to 400 years in Zifa Kanghai realm, anyone who is no more than 100 years old is considered a young person. It's just that Wu Yu is too young. The 3 men, 2 men, and 1 woman, are named Fang Kaoken, Wu Tianyu, and Zhen Yu. They are both at the first level of the Kanghai realm in Zifu, and are about the same age as Shenzhen Yu. In Yanhuang Emperor City, they are already considered good little geniuses. Of course, they all admire Wu Yu very much. The Qishan camp is very lively, but the Mosasaurus camp, probably because of the concubines, is really deserted. Everyone is either going out to perform tasks or practicing hard in seclusion. Wu Yu now has a windfall, and he won't feel comfortable unless he spends it. First of all, he purchased a large amount of alchemy and magic circle materials, and updated tools such as cauldrons and furnaces. He was very generous and directly made 50 Kanghai Yuankai pills. In terms of alchemy and magic circle, he chose the best. The improvement of realm also depends on these. Then, he went to the Dao Palace in the inner city. The Dao Palace is the main Taoist palace in the Yanhuang Emperor's city. There are 3 Dao Palaces like the Yi Palace. Wu Yu is a centurion and can go to the Zongdao Palace. Of course, this is also the benefit after he becomes a centurion. He can directly choose the mystical arts of heaven and earth. Having practiced too many sword skills, Wu Yu wanted to choose another mysterious art of heaven and earth this time. Of course, he was prepared to spend 100,000 yuan in golden elixirs, which was 100 Kanghai Yuankai elixirs. There are obviously many more types of Taoism in Yanhuang Emperor City than in Shushan, and they are more suitable for Wu Yu. More than 95% of the immortal sects in Shushan are sword cultivation Taoism, and Wu Yu has no other choice at all. Here in Yanhuang Emperor City, half of the Taoist spells can be performed without the need for magic weapons. The other half requires all kinds of magic weapons to maximize its power. It does not require a magic weapon to be used, the change is relatively large, and it is more magical, but the attack and killing ability will indeed be weaker. And those that rely on magic weapons, such as sword cultivation, can increase the power of the magic circle, so they are better at fighting. Because Wu Yu's Yanhuang Optimus Prime has a magical array to attack, he is going to choose a powerful heaven and earth mystical art that can be performed without a magic weapon. He spent more than 10 days browsing tens of thousands of heaven and earth mystical arts, and selected them very carefully. Ordinary people usually make a decision in 2 or 3 days. Finally, he went through many screenings and found a heaven and earth mysticism worth 110,000 yuan of golden elixir. Its name is, the art of trapping the dragon and trapping the sky. This is an extremely powerful binding technique. After successful practice, you can create an area, such as a domain, and condense the prison dragon with the power of Dan Yuan and Zifu Yuan. If you practice it to the extreme, you can summon 8-headed prison dragon. Rush out from the ground, surround and entangle the opponent, and block the opponent's movements. Now that the immobilization technique cannot be used, Wu Yu really needs a heaven and earth mysterious technique that can block the opponent's movements, so that his Yanhuang Optimus Prime will be more powerful. The so-called prisoning dragon is actually the condensation of a mysterious Taoist technique. It is said that it was created by the Taoist ancestors who observed the battle of divine dragons and added their own understanding of the Tao. According to legend, The 8-headed prisoning dragon came out at once and could trap even the sky. Yes, of course this is an exaggeration. However, because it is related to Shenlong, and Shenlong is also the existence of enlightenment, it is obvious that this dragon confining heaven technique is not weak. The final choice of the dragon trapping technique must have something to do with Luo Bin. Because of Luo Bin, Wu Yu noticed this mysterious technique of heaven and earth. After handing over 110 Kanghai Yuankai pills, Wu Yu left less than 60 Kanghai Yuankai pills and left the Dao Palace and returned to Kishan camp. After returning, he announced his retreat and concentrated on studying the dragon confining heaven technique. Now that he was not in debt, he was much more relaxed and less impatient. Wu Yu was not prepared to keep the 60 Kanghai Yuankai pills. He gave 6 to each clone. After the clones devoured these Kanghai Yuankai pills, the Danyuan increased again and reached its limit again. You can spend time thinking about the outlaw clone. If it is upgraded to the 3rd level, there will be hundreds of clones. Wu Yu was very excited when he imagined that scene. His training tasks are very arduous. First, temper the golden elixir. This efficiency requires him to understand the Great Path, so he must take time to ponder magic circles and alchemy, and draw the essence from the experience of his ancestors. This takes half the time. The second is to ponder the art of trapping the dragon and trapping the sky. Because he has the experience of pondering the first heaven and earth mysticism, and Wu Yu's current understanding is transcendent, so this is not difficult. Each of them takes half of the time, and Wu Yu divides it. To cultivate immortality, you must be able to withstand the fierceness and danger of fighting, and you must also be able to endure the boredom of pondering Taoism, magic circles, and refining elixirs. If we say the hardest thing, it's not the former, but the latter. Boredom and loneliness are really difficult. In many cases, not everyone can bear the darkness and loneliness. For many years, with Nangong Wei by my side, if I felt tired or exhausted, there would still be someone to talk to and hug. But now, there are only Wu Yu and Shadow in the empty training room. It's better not to think too much. There is no way back to Shushan. It was impossible for him not to miss the days in Shushan, the beauty of Nangong Wei's past, and the years spent together in the cave. However, the way she looked at her on the battlefield of life and death in the mortal sword territory that day was really terrifying. It was true that she was heartbroken at that time, but why was Wu Yu not? Missing you will only make you stagnant. Wire has her own way to go. I'd better not disturb her anymore. After all, I can't change her path. I hope she can become an immortal one day. I have to work hard too. He never hated Nangong Wei, and he decided to leave that day just because he was on a different path. For monks, this is the cruelest thing between lovers. Only when you think clearly and have peace of mind can you refine the golden elixir, ponder the mysteries of heaven and earth, and understand the way of prisoning the dragon. If successful, Wu Yu decided to do something bigger. Having gained huge wealth from the ghost cultivator this time, Wu Yu felt that he was going to target the ghost cultivator. The 7 ghosts of Red Sea, ghost wings of Black Mountain, and this time the 3 ghost cultivators all left a deep evil and cruel impression on Wu Yu. Admittedly, he didn't think all ghost cultivators were like this. Therefore, after meeting him, he will have his own criteria for judgment. Update notice: today is Saturday. It is confirmed that there will be 3 updates on Saturday and Sunday. There will be an outbreak next Monday, as much as possible. Thank you everyone. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 383. From every time I gain a fortune, but then lose it immediately, I can know how important these monastic resources accumulated by money are. After exchanging the prisoning dragon and trapping the sky technique, purchasing many magical formations and alchemy materials, and then raising clones, more than 200 Kanghai Yuankai pills were gone at once. After announcing the retreat, if there is nothing important, basically no one will disturb you. After leaving Xuanhuan, his heart became very quiet, especially when he was practicing Taoism. Maybe it was because the entire Xuanhuan immortal sect was suppressing him and wanted to change his path, but he persisted. Now when he is practicing, the road is very clear, and he can always see the light in front of him. If we were to give the sect a name, it would be the word reverse. Rebellion is not to resist external things, but to stick to oneself. Of course, I have only scratched the surface. I am far from truly mastering the art. Then there is the difference between heaven and earth. He is still self-aware. From this point of view, it was extended to the dragon confining heaven technique. Wu Yu directly penetrated the spiritual core of his heaven and earth mysterious technique. The so-called trapped sky, even the sky dares to be trapped, this is the greatest rebellion. When Wu Yu figured it out, he thought about the mysterious art of heaven and earth, and it suddenly became very simple. In fact, this was one of the reasons why he chose the dragon trapping technique. After reading the brief introduction, he knew in his heart that this was definitely the most suitable one among tens of thousands of heaven and earth mystical arts. There are a total of 8 levels of the dragon prisoning technique. In the first month, Wu Yu used his Tao and insights to pursue the gains of his predecessors through repeated experiments, and condensed the first prison dragon. In the second month, the second prison dragon was born successfully. The 2 dragons came out of the cave and entangled each other. In the third month, as expected, the third prisoner dragon was born. Half a year later, the 7th prisoner dragon was born. Wu Yu originally expected to stay in seclusion for half a year, but seeing that the art of trapping the dragon and trapping the sky was close to success, he stayed for an extra month until he had perfected this mystical art of heaven and earth. It took more than half a year to learn a mysterious art of heaven and earth. For a genius of his level, it took a relatively long time. After all, the first 100 years or so are basically the best period for cultivating Taoism. Many people have reached very high positions within 100 years, and it will be difficult to move forward later. Of course, Wu Yu did not devote all his energy to studying the mysterious art of heaven and earth. He was very successful in the magic circle, and even directly refined a psychic magic weapon. Once you have the first one, it will be much easier in the future. On the talismans, many very powerful talismans were also made. Although they are not very useful to him at his level, the Yanhuang immortal army under him can use them. He also studied the heaven and earth formation. The last time Luo Bin went to reinforce the Yongzi city's city defense formation, it left a great impression on him. Due to geographical restrictions, he was unable to set up a formation at Kishan camp, but although he didn't try it, he learned a lot and estimated that it could be done if he went out to find a venue. He learned several heaven and earth formations, one of which was called the Million Swords Formation, which was an upgraded version of the 10,000 Swords Formation of the Tongtian Sword sect. Wu Yu has very special feelings for this 10,000 Sword Formation. The Million Sword Formation was very powerful, and Wu Yu spent 20,000 yuan in gold elixirs to obtain the drawing method. Next time I return to the Tongtian Sword sect, I will try to add these Million Sword Formations to the Tongtian Sword sect, and also arrange one for Wu Du. He has prepared the materials for the formation. In fact, this was the starting point of his pity for the Millions of Swords Formation. Wu Yu once missed Wu Du, Wu Yu, Tongtian Sword sect and those people. Master, senior brother, senior sister. Feng Xia, I'm afraid he still doesn't know that he has been expelled from the school. Wu Yu wanted to go back. In terms of alchemy, he can now refine more than 100 kinds of elixirs, which is unparalleled among his peers. In addition, half a year of refining the golden elixir and understanding the great path, especially when drawing the magic circle, have been of great help to Wu Yu in refining the golden elixir. He is now at a bottleneck. He knew in his heart that if he was given enough Kanghai Yuan Kai pill, he could rush directly to the 9th level of the golden pill Dao realm. Of course, that means that a large amount of Canghai Yuankai pill is needed. Because the clones can also improve. In addition, Wu Yu also spent a lot of time pondering the magical power of extrajudicial clones. It is estimated that he can almost reach the third level. He still needs a little enlightenment like familiarity. Before the retreat ended, Wu Yu set his future goals. The harvest from the last mission has now been consumed, and the progress is indeed huge. Next, we have to go out and take on a mission. 200 Canghai Yuankai pills are not enough anymore. If you want to grow, you need more. The mission, of course, is to choose ghost cultivators. Choose the edge of the East China Sea. That's where the most ghost cultivators are, and it's also the easiest place to make huge gains. You can also pass by Suqiao and go home. Wu Yu looked at the map of the Divine Continent. He positioned the area next to the sea in the east, below the territory of the Tianyi clan, as his future battlefield. It was far away from the immortal gate of Shushan in the west, but close to the ghost cultivators on the endless islands in the East China Sea. That is the place where ghost cultivators harm the most people. Ghost cultivators like Suqiao Ghost Ji Shihei 7 ghosts are everywhere. They have a lot of wealth on them, and they themselves are also the merits of Yanhuang Emperor City. They took action against the mortals of the 3000 Immortal Kingdom, because the number of mortals was huge, often in the hundreds of millions, and for the ghost cultivators, they were endless livestock. Of course, the missions of East China Sea ghost cultivators are quite popular. A considerable number of the Yanhuang Immortal Army died in the East China Sea every year. Ghost cultivators come and go and have no fixed abode, so it is not easy to seek revenge. The resources I need to practice Taoism depend on you. On this day, Wu Yu came out of seclusion, and the brothers and sisters in Kishan camp waited for a long time to celebrate him. Wu Yu was also very kind and gave them the elixirs and talismans he refined. He had no use for these, but they were still of some use to most people in the golden elixir realm. Commander Wu, do you have any plans next? Fang Kaoken, a young, handsome and elegant man asked. Wu Yu said, let's go to Yi Palace to take on a mission. I'm too poor recently. When everyone heard this, they cheered, then take us there. It is said that in Zhonggai Palace, there is a mission that the entire battalion performs together. We don't expect to gain anything, we just want to follow you out and have an adventure. Yes, Commander Wu, our Kishan camp is not very well known in Emperor Yanhuang City yet. Wu Yu smiled and said, I can't agree to this for you yet. After all, the task I chose may be extremely dangerous. There is a danger of life and death at any time. I'm afraid of harming you. Among the crowd, Wu Tianyu, who looked younger and more resolute, said, Commander Wu, you are out of touch when you say this. Among us cultivators, who is afraid of death? Without experiencing life and death, there is no way to comprehend the great road. We are the same as you, to those who have the heart to become immortal. Everyone is very welcoming. In this case, Wu Yu thought for a while and then said, although I can't agree to you for the time being, if I see a suitable task, I will come back to ask for your opinions. No need to ask, no matter what the mission, we will follow you. I'm going to the East China Sea to fight with ghost cultivators, are you going to? Wu Yu asked seriously. Go. Speaking of which, we are older than you, so we may not have killed fewer ghost cultivators than you. Indeed, they are all very mature, and there are some middle-aged people here who have practiced Taoism for hundreds of years. At this age in the mortal world, they could be Wu Yu's great-grandfather. That works. Yi Palace does have missions based on battalions. In this case, it is generally more dangerous, because it requires so many manpower, the scope to be monitored may be relatively large, and the number of enemies will be particularly large. Of course, this is also the only chance for the ordinary Yanhuang Immortal Army to take on the mission of Zhonggai Palace. If the outlaw clones can cultivate to the third level, then I have hundreds of clones. Basically, one person is equivalent to leading an army. Of course, it is still a very strong army and an immortal army. There are 10 levels of extra-legal clones. Wu Yu still relies on the Monkey King to familiarize himself with this so-called magical power of heaven, step by step. The mystery of supernatural power is also describing the imprint on the golden elixir, which is somewhat similar to the magic circle. Wu Yu is now also perfecting the imprint of the extra-legal clone bit by bit. One day, he may complete the third level of drawing. The next day, Wu Yu came to Xuanhuan Palace. More than half a year has passed, and Xuanhuan Palace is still the same, with dozens of centurions looking for suitable tasks here. Commander Wu, I haven't seen him for a while. Some centurions recognized him and exchanged greetings with him. Yes, I was in retreat a few days ago. Yes, I heard that you and Xuanhuan went out. I'm really envious. Many people want to have such an opportunity, but they don't have such luck. Another centurion next to him smiled. Wu Yu also smiled. It seems that you have gained a lot from your mission. After coming back, I haven't seen you for half a year, nor have I seen Commander Luo. Even Xuanhuan, who usually likes to hang around most, has not been seen. They are all in seclusion. No wonder there was no movement at all in Mosasaurus camp. Not to mention Luo Bin herself is a peerless powerhouse, but Xuanhuan might come out of seclusion and reach the third level of the Kanghai realm of Zifu. Nangongwei and the others might have reached the third level. Thinking of this, I still feel a little stressed. He only lacked the Kanghai Yuankai pill, so he quickly browsed the missions and selected a location near the East China Sea. The opponent was a mission with a ghost cultivator. Because Fang Kaoken and others talked about it, Wu Yu also paid attention to the group tasks. After picking for a long time, Wu Yu finally found one. There are 2 more chapters at 12 p.m. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 384. This mission is somewhat complicated. The law enforcer introduced him and said, it's roughly like this. On a fairy mountain on the coast of the East China Sea, there is a sect called Kanghai Dao sect. This sect is a hegemon in 1,000 miles around, and it can be regarded as a fourth-rate section. The sect, the leader of which is about the 4th level of Zifu Kanghai realm, which is pretty good on the coast of the East China Sea. It is estimated that there are more than 5 Zifu Kanghai realm in total. This Kanghai Taoist sect, because it is located in the East China Sea, has been fighting with ghost cultivators all year round. Among the sects, there are also ferocious temperaments and good fighting power. They are not inferior to ghost cultivators, and they have protected dozens of mortal immortals under the mountain. It's a sect with boundless merits. Its mountain protecting formation is pretty good, and even ordinary ghost cultivators can't attack it. This is the background. This mission was initiated by Kanghai Daozong asking for help from Yanhuang Emperor City. Wu Yu also made this choice after seeing that in this mission, the conflict was likely to be very intense and the potential gains would be the greatest. Moreover, given the location of Kanghai Daozong, he would probably pass by Dongyu State, which would not prevent Wu Yu from returning once. This is a relatively distant mission, and Yanhuang Emperor City's confidentiality work is very good, so there is no need to worry about Sword Master Xuanhuan knowing her location. Even if she learns that she has to pass through Shushan, it will take some time. The law enforcer continued to describe, the main reason is that a year ago, Kanghai Daozong discovered a Lanling gold mine under the seabed of the East China Sea. This is a seabed vein of all 4 spiritual patterns. It is large in quantity and of high value. For a sect at the level of Kanghai Dao sect, this is already a huge treasure that can make their sect prosperous, so their sect is keeping the news while stepping up mining. Wu Yu couldn't tell. Although this Lanling gold mine was not as good as the Bilyuan gold mine last time, it was indeed a huge wealth to Kanghai Dao sect. Unexpectedly, the news still leaked out. On the coast of the East China Sea, most of the righteous sects were not opponents of the Kanghai Dao sect, but the news spread to the ghost cultivators on countless islands in the East China Sea. Therefore, from the beginning of 3 months, there have been ghost cultivators. Attacking their mining base caused heavy casualties to the Kanghai Dao section. After all, it was at the bottom of the East China Sea, not their fairy mountain, and there was no protective formation. They had to rely on frontal fighting and a steady stream of ghost cultivators to fight, which was really difficult. In the end, their sect leader decided to ask Yanhuang Emperor City for help. They were willing to give up 1/5 of the value of the Lanling gold mine in exchange for the support of the 8 battalions of Yanhuang Emperor City. We, Yanhuang Emperor City, give priority to the tasks of ghost cultivators, so on the day the mission was released, 8 battalions went there. Since it would take the other side half a year to completely dig out the Lanling gold mine, these 8 centurions were also responsible for guarding the Lanling gold mine for half a year. Yanhuang Emperor City is still very particular about rules in this regard. Although the Yanhuang Immortal army sent there has exceeded the entire strength of Kanghai Daozong, they only perform tasks and take what they deserve, and will not rob Kanghai Daozong's things. The Jindao sects on the land of Shenzhou are actually supervising each other, and the Yanhuang Emperor City is so big, they don't look down on the Kanghai Dao section. If any of the Yanhuang Immortal army acts secretly, they will also be punished by Yanhuang Emperor City. In other words, this task was actually released 3 months ago and someone has already taken it. The law enforcer continued, unexpectedly, the ghost cultivators in the East China Sea are like the crucian carp crossing the river, and it is a mine on the seabed. The ghost cultivators think it belongs to them, so the number of ghost cultivators who come to fight for the killing far exceeds that of us, and Kanghai Daozong's estimation has caused our Yanhuang Immortal army to suffer certain losses, and it seems difficult to resist some new ghost cultivators. After all, there are still 3 months left before the originally agreed time. In another 3 months, Kanghai Daozong will be able to dig out everything. So the leader of the Kanghai Dao sect is willing to spend 1/5 of the value of the Lanling gold mine, and let our Yanhuang Emperor City send 8 battalions, a total of 16 battalions, to guard the mines. They only need to dig the mines. Once it's over, the mission is over. The Kanghai Dao sect is protected by a large protective formation. The wealth that will be protected next will be transformed into the strength of their sect, which is their own creation. Yanhuang Emperor City has evaluated the entire Lanling gold mine. After collecting a small portion, all the rest will be converted into merit. For the 8 newly added battalions, when the mission is completed, the centurions can receive 150,000 merit, and the soldiers can earning 3,000 merits. Although the mission is dangerous, the rewards are still great. After all, most of the battles with ghost cultivators are life and death battles, so there will be some additional gains. The law enforcer said. The key thing Wu Yu wants to get is not just the 150,000 and 150 Kanghai Yuankai pills, but the opportunity to fight the ghost cultivators, and also the opportunity to plunder. I still remember that a stone tablet of the Tongtian sword sect said, "Cultivation is plundering, only the strong can be chivalrous. Cultivation is robbery. Why plunder? Kill people and seize treasures." Of course, the people who deserve to be killed are the ones who deserve to be killed, and the treasures that deserve to be taken are taken. Ghosts cultivating the ways of ghosts and gods are not tolerated not only by heaven and earth, but also by the mortal world. This kind of task does require a lot of manpower, spread around the mine veins, and always vigilant, so a large number of Yanhuang Immortal army is needed. The mission is a bit similar to Wu Yu's last time in Yin Yang Mountain, but Yin Yang Mountain was a trial for Nangong Wei and the others, and this time it was a merciless life and death fight. "Wu Yu, will you accept this mission or not?" the law enforcer asked. Wu Yu's needs were met in all aspects, but Wu Yu was a little hesitant when it came to dispatching the entire battalion. He was worried that the mission was too dangerous and would cost the lives of the young people in Kishan camp. But there was another voice telling him that no one wanted to be a flower in the greenhouse. Just as Wu Tianyu said, everyone wants to become an immortal, not just because they have become his soldiers, but he must stop their opportunities to move forward. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. He finally made a decision on this matter. He wrote the details of the mission on the messenger talisman and sent it back to Kishan camp, and then waited for their reply. In fact, the mission did not require everyone in the camp to go. After all, there are always people who have other things to do. Kishan camp has a relatively small number of people. Some of the other camps have more than 200 people. It is good to be able to make up 100 in the end. Therefore, Wu Yu also left the decision to everyone. If he wanted to go or not, he could just put it forward directly. Life and death were all decided by himself. For some of them who were at the 5th and 6th levels of the Golden Core realm, 3,000 merits had already been achieved. It's quite a lot, and the mission lasts only 3 months. Unexpectedly, the summons talisman came back soon, and it read, a total of 93 people are willing to go. There were only 100 people in the Kishan camp, and only 7 people refused to go. This number was indeed too high. When Wu Yu reported it and decided to carry out this task, the law enforcers were a little surprised and couldn't help but take a second look at Wu Yu. Said, I can't tell, your Kishan camp has just been established, and your appeal is quite strong. You actually have a participation rate of 93%. The participation rate of the other 7 reported camps is only 100% 74. Wu Yu couldn't help but be stunned and asked, there are 8 teams in total, and the other 7 have been confirmed. The law enforcer smiled and said, although this kind of mission is dangerous, it is the most rewarding. As soon as it appears, it will be robbed quickly. If you come here another quarter of an hour later, this mission will not be yours. Okay, mission, the time is too tight, gather the required number of people, and act immediately. You can quickly return to Kishan camp and lead the people. I will notify the other 7 teams to gather at the exit of the city as soon as possible. Indeed, times are dangerous. Moreover, there are 8 original teams from the Yanhuang Emperor city that are fighting against the ghost cultivators and are in a dangerous situation. This trip can be regarded as supporting their own people. After knowing what was going on, Wu Yu quickly left Yi Palace and returned to Kishan camp not long after. By this time, all those who were willing to set out had put on their Yanhuang immortal armor and lined up to wait for Wu Yu. Commander Wu, seeing Wu Yu's return, everyone's blood boiled and they shouted in unison. They lined up neatly, really like an army. Wu Yu seemed to have returned to the scene when he led troops to fight in Suqiao. His blood boiled instantly and he shouted loudly, Kishaning, listen to the order, follow me, and set off. Yes. A group of nearly 100 people headed towards the passage out of the city, attracting a lot of attention along the way. Do you understand all the details of the mission? Wu Yu asked. Understood, everyone said. Wu Yu looked at these faces, most of which were as young as himself, as they performed a key mission for the first time, looking excited and nervous. From now on, everyone will strictly implement my orders. No one is allowed to act without permission, otherwise he will be severely punished. And my mission is to take everyone out today, and in 3 months, everyone will be safe and have a lot of harvest. Return. Yes. An individual is an individual, and a legion is a legion. In the legion, one must strictly abide by and execute orders, uniting the entire team under a unified will. Kishan camp. Kishan camp. Only when you have the ambition to reach heaven can you achieve enlightenment and become an immortal. When heading to the passage out of the city, Wu Yu was looking at the information of other camps. The other 7 include Pajun camp, Lanyan Camp, Kangsong Camp, Qingliu Camp, etc. This mission has a presidential leader who plays a leading role, and that is Huangfu Pajun, the commander of the Pajun camp. He is the only one among the 8 centurions who is at the 4th level of the Kanghai realm of the Purple Mansion. Most of the others are centurions at the 3rd level of the Kanghai realm of Zi Mansion. There are only 2 who are at the 2nd level of Zifu Kanghai realm. Wu Yu is now trying his best to compete with the 3rd level of Zifu Kanghai realm, so among these 8 teams, he is not considered weak. He learned more about Huangfu Pajun. Generally, in this type of mission, a presidential leader would be set up. In this mission, the weight of one person's words is equivalent to 4 people. In other words, this 8-person team, it is equivalent to 11 people. As long as there are more than 6 people making decisions, they will be implemented. In other words, only 2 of the other 7 people need to agree with the president's decision for the order to be established. The presidential leader does have a great say, and is basically on the same level as Gao Wu and others. Of course, the general presidential leader is directly dispatched by Yanhuang Emperor City, so he has such experience. Furthermore, in fact, the merit he received is also 150,000, which is relatively fair. Soon, we reached the passage out of the city. Tonight at 12 o'clock on time, there will be 2 more chapters updated. New week, new start. Wu Yu is also about to rise against the odds. Be sure to read the new chapters at 12 o'clock tonight. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 385. When Wu Yu accepted the mission, Yi Gong directly summoned the other 7 centurions. Those 7 centurions were already prepared. Some of them had already led the team to the passage out of the city in advance after accepting the mission. When Wu Yu led the Qishan camp to the passage out of the city, 5 of the 7 teams had already arrived. This kind of collective action must be strictly disciplined, so the 5 teams are also uniform, standing behind their respective centurions. The remaining 4 centurions are all wearing Yanhuang immortal armor, and they are roughly the same. The one in the middle is a middle-aged monk, with a tall build, a stubble on his face, a very aggressive look in his eyes, and a particularly mortal-like temperament. A lifelong general. Judging from his appearance and demeanor, he should be an upright and forthright rough man. Wu Yu, I didn't expect that the last spot would be taken by you, Qishan camp. Sure enough, when Wu Yu led Qishan to join the entire team, Huangfu Pajun laughed loudly, stretched out his thick, dark palm, and called Wu Yu over. I'm Huangfu Pajun, the president of this mission. Let's get to know each other. They were all old friends, so they had a new acquaintance with Wu Yu. Within a short period of time, Wu Yu had a certain understanding of the other centurions. Your Qishan camp has just been established, and it looks pretty impressive. Huangfu Pajun praised it. It's all thanks to Commander Wu, Wu Tianyu said proudly in Qishan camp. Just after he finished speaking, there was a huge movement in the distance, as if 2 other teams had arrived. Wu Yu looked over and saw that there were indeed 2 teams coming in a menacing manner from the west. Huangfu Pajun lowered his voice and said, when I was assigned to lead this task, Chen Kangsong and Fan Qingliu were taking over the task. They seemed to have said that they wanted to notify another friend of theirs to come and take over the task, but it seemed that they hadn't caught up yet. You got the better of me. You moved very quickly. So. Wu Yu never thought that when he went there would be only the last spot left. Of course, to accept a task in Yi Palace, you must be present to confirm it, and it does not count if someone else takes the lead. Except for the centurion Wu Yu who took the mission with a group of soldiers, there was no need to pick it up on the spot, just record the number of participants. After all, they couldn't go to Zhonggai Palace. It would probably be quite depressing if these 2 people were urging their friends to go together to pick up the mission, but they were overtaken by them. However, the rules of Yanhuang Emperor City belong to whoever takes the lead, and they cannot do whatever they want. Of course, this would make him depressed, so he planned to wait for these two to arrive and apologize a little, which probably wouldn't be a problem. Soon, the remaining Kang Song camp and King Liu camp came together under the leadership of the last two centurions, and the number of people was gathered in one go. Who stole my sister's mission? The last two centurions were a man and a woman. They were probably over 100 years old. One was named Chen Kang Song, who was skinny and short, with a sharp mouth and monkey cheeks. The other person is Fan Qingliu, who is the one who spoke. He looks pretty good, as slender as a willow leaf, but his face is not very good looking. He made a lot of noise as soon as he arrived, and he immediately targeted Wu Yu. Who is this? Why haven't you seen him before? Fan Qingliu asked Huangfu Pajun. Huangfu Pajun smiled and said, Sister Fan doesn't pay much attention to what's going on recently. She doesn't even recognize Wu Yu. Chen Kang Song and Fan Qingliu were shocked. It turned out that this young man was the guy who was rumored to be allotted. It was said that he defeated Gu Xian and became a centurion directly. Needless to say, Wu Yu must have suddenly appeared and got ahead of her sister. I couldn't help but feel resentful in my heart, and after hearing the rumors, I was a little disdainful. At this time, I said in a strange way, who am I? It turns out to be the legendary abandoned disciple of Xuanhuan. He was just abandoned and came to join our Yan. Is that genius from Huangdi City? His cultivation level is pretty good, but his reputation is not very good according to external rumors. Wu Yu, I am a straightforward person and may not speak through my brain, but this also shows that I am just straightforward. I won't see anyone outside. After all, I don't like hiding things. After Fan Qingliu finished speaking, Chen Kang Song laughed and said, Sister Fan's character is indeed straightforward. I don't like people who are coy. This was more than just being straightforward, it was simply letting his temper for not getting the task be revealed on Wu Yu. Wu Yu chose to ignore people like this. He didn't like to let irrelevant people ruin his mood. However, the young monks from Kishan camp under him followed Wu Yu on a mission for the first time. Now Wu Yu was generally their idol, but now he was furious when he heard that his idol was being ridiculed in a weird way. Smelly bitch, what are you talking about? Keep your mouth clean. Aren't we the ones who got the task first? We don't have to beat around the bush and curse people, and you say you have a straightforward personality. Bah, Wu Tianyu admired Wu Yu the most and jumped up at this time. It's really unqualified to attack other centurions in public for such a trivial matter. Zhen Yu also smiled coldly. This was the trigger. As soon as the two clashed, the people from the other two camps suddenly became furious and started a big quarrel. Fan Qingliu was called a stinky bitch, and his face was livid with anger. He wanted to arrest Wu without saying a word. Tianyu! How dare you? How dare you talk to the centurion like that? She was even more presumptuous, reaching out to capture Wu Tianyu, and indeed she didn't take Wu Yu seriously. Before she took action, Wu Yu was already standing in front of her. The opponent didn't pay much attention and he passed by. Wu Yu stabbed out with a sword with his backhand. Although it was a casual sword, it also had the foundation of Suangxian's frightening swordsmanship and directly hit Fan Qingliu's head. Stinging, he retreated. She failed to capture her, but was forced back by Wu Yu, causing the Kishan camp to burst into laughter and suddenly trembling with anger. Next to her, Chen Kang Song said angrily, You Wu Yu, how dare you attack other centurions in the inner city? This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. He was about to punish Wu Yu with Fan Qingliu when he uttered such a bad breath, but Wu Yu knew in his heart that Huangfu Pajun was here, and if he allowed them to run wild, His Majesty would be ruined. That's enough. Stop it. Whoever makes a move or speaks again, get out of the team. His roar was so deafening that it suppressed the restless young people. Of course, Wu Yu didn't take action. Once he did, he forced Fan Qingliu back, and then stood up with his hands behind his back. Therefore, Huangfu Pajun did not suppress him, but suppressed the other two who were about to take action. The scene suddenly became quiet. Chen Kangsong, Fan Qingliu, let me make it clear. Wu Yu didn't deliberately steal your friend's mission. It's because you didn't catch up. No wonder others. This mission is very critical. We have collected money from the Kanghai Dao section just to eliminate disasters for others. This matter ends here. If you bring this kind of confrontation to anyone in the mission, no matter who it is, Woli Do will be expelled directly. Not only will he not be able to get any merit, but he will also be punished. Do you understand? He still has some majesty. After all, he has the same say as 4 centurions. As long as the decision is not outrageous, at least 2 centurions will support him. It would be impossible for any centurion to fight him. Wu Yu was too lazy to talk nonsense with such a woman. He turned back to Qi Tianying and said, "Did you hear that? There's no need to say anything that shouldn't be said. We cultivate Taoism, and we don't rely on scolding and words to win." This time, they actually had the upper hand, so they felt secretly happy, so they all laughed and said, "Yes." This unanimous response was very united and the scene was very spectacular. Okay, let's go. Huangfu Pajun has a strong execution ability. After getting it done, he set off directly. Wu Yu led the Kishan camp. Hundreds of people held hands, looked at each other, nodded, and then Wu Yu met with Yanhuang from other camps. The immortal army pulled them together. There were nearly 1,000 Yanhuang immortal army, and now they all pulled together and jumped into the whirlpool. Came in a second time. The vortex rolled, and the airflow swept them into a white cloud far away under Yanhuang Emperor City. After stabilizing their bodies, Huangfu Pajun, who was at the core of the crowd, suddenly shouted, "Get out of the way." Although Wu Yu didn't know what he was going to do, he still protected the people in Kishan camp and dispersed. Yanhuang warship. Get up. Suddenly, Huangfu Pajun pulled out a golden light from the sumuru bag. The golden light expanded rapidly and instantly transformed into a huge warship in the center of the crowd. It was a warship made of steel, which was obviously a rare treasure metal. This huge warship was completely a magic weapon, and at first glance it looked like a very precious super spiritual magic weapon. Although the hull was huge, it was obvious that it could be seen in many key locations. There are magic weapon arrays. There are estimated to be more than 3,000 magic weapon arrays in the entire warship, distributed in various locations, such as the ship's side, cabin, deck, etc. Of course, this warship is now suspended in the air. It is obvious that it can not only enter the sea, but also fly across the sky. Flying ship. Huangfu Pajun actually has this magical weapon. Wu Yu was still quite shocked. He estimated that a magical weapon of this level would be worth more than 3,000 Kanghai Yuankai pills, which is equivalent to 3 million meritorious deeds. It is estimated that this Yanhuang warship has exceeded the value of this mission. Commander Wu, this is not the magic weapon of Commander Huangfu. Even the Yanhuang warships in Yanhuang Emperor City don't know about it. Zhen Yu tilted her head and smiled at Wu Yu's joke. Behind him, everyone in the Kishan camp laughed. It was obvious that Wu Yu himself didn't know about this. Finally, Fang Kaokan explained, "This is the magic weapon of the Yanhuang Emperor City. Huangfu Pajun is probably qualified to use it just because of the special nature of this mission. When the mission is over, he still has to return it." The Yanhuang warship is the Yanhuang warship. The fortress that Huangdi city fights outside is equivalent to a mobile city. You only need to hide inside and jointly maintain the operation of the magic circle. It is difficult for foreign enemies to break through, unless the enemy is too strong. In addition, the Yanhuang warship also has super high speed, which can take thousands of us to the East China Sea quickly, otherwise with the strength of most people at the 5th level of the Golden Core realm, it will take a long time to reach the East China Sea. I see. Only then did Wu Yu understand. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 386. This is also the first time I have seen the Yanhuang worship. It is really domineering. It is said that other sects do not have such a magic weapon. This is a magic weapon forged by the city lord himself. The magic circle drawn and the material are all in the world of Shenzhou. It is difficult to find. It is precisely the existence of Yanhuang warships that has reduced a lot of casualties. There are no Yanhuang warships in the East China Sea, so this time we used one directly. Zhen Yu said. Wu Yu, bring your Kishan camp in. When he spoke, the other Yanhuang immortal army had already boarded the ship. Time was urgent, Huangfu Pajun urged him. Good. Wu Yu speeded up and led everyone aboard the Yanhuang warship. Thousands of people boarded the warship, but there was still a lot of space and there was no crowding. Now everyone can stay on the deck. If they encounter an irresistible attack, they can also hide in the cabin, fully operate the defensive array, and wait for the rescue of the strong men from Yanhuang Emperor City. Wu Yu stepped on the deck of the Yanhuang warship and looked at the endless sea of clouds ahead. He couldn't help but be shocked. This is the world of immortality. It's so magnificent. It's so magical. 10 years ago, when he was still fighting on the border of Suqiao, he never imagined that one day he would be able to stand on this Yanhuang battlefield, search through the sea of clouds, and move toward the East China Sea. Yanhuang Emperor City is more domineering than Shushan Immortal Section. He stood on the bow of the ship, thoughtfully. The time to go to the East China Sea is so urgent, so I can't go around to Wudu, Suqiao. After all, I can't take up the time of the mission and other people's time. I'd better wait for the mission to be completed. It's over. I'll stay there for a while. When I come back in 3 months. It was their first mission on the Yanhuang battlefield. The soldiers of Kishan camp who had just entered the inner city of Shushan were also very excited. They gathered around and talked and laughed, and the atmosphere was very relaxed. The other camps should be relatively familiar with each other and are communicating with each other. There are thousands of people on this warship, which is indeed quite lively. Look at those from Kishan camp, they haven't seen the Yanhuang warships. They are really ignorant. How can the people led by the traders be knowledgeable? I really don't understand what they think. How can a person who was abandoned by Shushan come to Yanhuang Emperor City and receive all kinds of preferential treatment? We here accept what others have thrown away. A rubbish place. It's better to say less of this, otherwise it won't be good if Commander Huangfu hears it. They were just afraid that Huangfu Pajun would hear it, but they deliberately told the people in Kishan camp. They were from Kangsong camp and Qingliu camp, so they probably couldn't swallow the breath they just took. Commander Wu, they were particularly angry, and their faces turned red. You must learn to use your own strength to stop others' mouths and give them a slap at the right time. There is no need to get excited or angry about such gossip, Wu Yu said lightly. They still admired Wu Yu, and they couldn't help it if he said this about themselves. There are always people who will speak ill of themselves behind their backs, but Wu Yu felt that he was on a different level from them. A strong person should not care about the gossip of ants. The speed of this Yanhuang warship is very fast, even faster than Wu Yu's full speed. Now it is flying rapidly through the sea of clouds, breaking through the clouds and mists, and breaking through the wind and waves. Wu Yu estimated that at this constant speed, it would only take 5 days to reach the destination. But he didn't waste the 5 days. He just happened to be sitting on the deck, surrounded by soldiers from the Kishan camp. Wu Yu was happy to listen to their understanding of monasticism. In fact, everyone had a shining point in their insights. When listening to other people's sermons, even if the person is weaker than himself, Wu Yu is very likely to find his own breakthrough point or similar shortcomings in their words. Before in Suqiao, he liked to listen to the opinions of soldiers. 1,000 people or 10,000 people will always come up with one or two ideas that make them amazing. Of course, he is also used to communicating his understanding with others. After a few days, I became extremely passionate and consciously realized a lot deeper. Even the wind-breaking domineering and grandeur of the Yanhuang warship made Wu Yu imagine the path of Tao, just like this battlefield, moving forward in an indomitable and magnificent manner. About 4 days later, Huangfu Pajun informed everyone that he had just flown over the Canghai Daozong. They did not enter the Canghai Dao sect, but flew directly across the East China Sea, preparing to reach the sea area and enter the seabed to protect the Lanling gold mine. Wu Yu heard that in order to prevent the ghost cultivators from attacking from east to west, they came to attack the Canghai Dao section. It is estimated that the leader of the Canghai Dao sect stayed here. At the Lanling gold mine, there were the Yanhuang Immortal army and some of the Canghai Dao sect from the previous 8 teams. The Canghai Dao sect is still stepping up its efforts to mine the Lanling gold mine. Commander Wu, I heard that as of today, 2 centurions have died in the battle, and more than 200 Yanhuang immortal soldiers have also died in the battle. Zhen Yu sat next to Wu Yu, her face slightly nervous. Well, are you scared? Wu Yu asked her, and he was also asking the people around him. I'm afraid, but it doesn't affect my determination to defeat the enemy, Zhen Yu said firmly. If you are afraid, you won't set foot on this road. I have been at ease in Yanhuang Emperor City for too long. There is no fierce battle, and I still have the smoothness of comprehending the Great Road. That's right. Wu Yu smiled and said, don't worry, I will never let you be bullied or defeated. But I also need you to help each other when encountering danger. On the battlefield, unless you hear the order to retreat, otherwise don't be a deserter, and don't let your brothers and sisters be sorry. Yes. In the blink of an eye, the Yanhuang warship began to land and descended from the white clouds. Everyone stood on the edge of the ship and looked down. They saw the magnificent and endless sea below. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. A piece of selfless blue, surging forward, no one knows how vast it is, and no one knows how deep it is. I have been to the East China Sea, but it was only a shallow sea, far from the rough waves here, Wu Yu said. Donghai, his hometown. Somewhere behind him is his Dongyu kingdom. The Yanhuang Immortal army is listening to the order. The mine base below is being attacked by ghost cultivators and is ready to fight. While he was still sighing, Huangfu Pajun's words spread, and the atmosphere suddenly became tense. He didn't expect that he would have to undergo a battle test just after arriving. Although 3 months is a short period of time, people will definitely die. Everyone gather around me and listen to my orders. No one is allowed to act without permission. Wu Yu said loudly. In any case, since he is their superior, he has the responsibility to protect them. He once led troops to fight. This is his perseverance and will, and it is also the reason why many older generals admire him. Under the control of Huangfu Pajun, the Yanhuang warship slammed down with force. The huge hull rammed diagonally into the sea like an island or a city. For a time, it set off turbulent waves, and a huge doomsday-like formation was formed on the sea. There was movement, and for a moment, the sea water surged into the sky, a storm swept across, and waves dozens of feet high swept out, making a harsh roar. Use the water avoidance technique. Pin yourself to the boat. For them in the Golden Cordeo realm, this kind of impact with the sea water is nothing, so after entering the water, everyone can still stay firmly on the Yanhuang warship. However, after entering the water, the way of breathing and exhalation is different, and they must use the water avoidance technique. Of course, the water avoidance technique is very simple for them. In the seabed water, our use of Taoist magic, waving magic weapons, etc. will be greatly affected. Everyone must adapt to this change. Even when we move or make any action, we will encounter resistance, especially in the deep sea bed. Everyone must be mentally prepared. One thing we don't have an advantage over is that the ghost cultivators have been walking in the East China Sea all year round and are more suitable for the underwater fighting style than we are. In fact, Huangfu Pajun had already told these details once, and Wu Yu also reminded everyone after entering the water. He also tried it himself, and the water pressure was not high yet, so it had little effect on him, and it did not even affect the speed of his sword piercing in the water. However, the Lanling gold mine is in a vein on the seabed, and the water pressure there must be huge, and even he will be affected. After entering the deep sea, the bottom of the sea is calmer than the surface. There are many creatures in this world under the sea, many fish and shrimps, and there are also demons, but they are not as dense as the demons in the endless demon sea. Countless sea fish swam in groups on the left side of the Yanhuang battlefield. Boom boom boom. The Yanhuang battlefield broke through the waves and went down. Wu Yu looked down. In the depths of the seabed, he vaguely saw a bright blue ribbon. The closer he got, the clearer and bigger the blue light became. Obviously, this was a mountain range on the seabed. When the Kanghai Dao sect, the blue spirit gold mine was discovered here. After mining started, the blue spirit gold shone with its light. This is why the ghost cultivator found this place easily. Now the Yanhuang battlefield is huge and heading towards the Lanling gold mine. When he got closer, Wu Yu saw that the sea area above the Lanling gold mine was filled with a black air. There was also a strong smell of blood and real blood in the sea water. There was a ghostly atmosphere there, and there was indeed a ghost correction. During the attack, if you look carefully, you can see that under the black water, there are indeed Yanhuang immortal army guarding the surroundings of the Lanling gold mine, which is relatively stable for the time being. The enemy is not strong, but the number is relatively large. Please be careful. I landed the Yanhuang warship directly above the Lanling gold mine, and divided 4 teams to the east and 4 teams to the west to assist the fighting Yanhuang immortal army. A wave of demons will be completely killed, and then we will set up a formation to guard it for 3 months. Huangfu Pajun thought quickly and acted decisively. Wu Yu's Kishan camp was assigned to the east. Sure enough, at such a deep seabed, the water pressure was very strong, which greatly affected their performance. Everyone had prepared their magic weapons and prepared to fight the ghost cultivators in a life and death fight. Wu Yu had never tried a group battle in the immortal world for the first time, so he was well prepared. Before arriving, he had divided into 10 clones. From now on, you all obey the instructions of me and my clone. Wu Yu directly replaced Fang Kaoken and his team leader's duties with his own clone. After all, his clone is himself, and even if it is separated, it will still be compared to Fang Kaoken. They are still strong. After all, the clone knows the mysterious immortal shocking sword technique and the dragon capturing heaven technique. They are all mystical arts of heaven and earth. Fang Kaoken and the others were not very familiar with the mystical arts of heaven and earth. Qi Tianying had seen Wu Yu's methods and was not surprised now. He understood that Wu Yu also cared about them. At this time, Huangfu Pajun had parked the Yanhuang warship directly above the Lanling gold mine. 8 teams rushed out in an instant. Wu Yu led the Kishan camp and took the lead to kill them. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 387. During the 5 days before heading to the East China Sea, Wu Yu had already completed the deployment of specific tactical arrangements, the group's combat methods, and his own experience. Nowadays, there are basically 10 people in a group, with the captain of each team and Wu Yu's avatar as the core, forming a small group, or even forming a circle to form a battle formation. This way you won't be attacked by the opponent. As I write this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Even if there are too many people on the other side, they may not be able to hold on. Furthermore, when charging, Wu Yu's clone forms a pointed head, and the team leader sits in the center to support the surrounding partners, which can achieve very good results. The real Wu Yu is in the center of the entire team. Because of the existence of his clone, he has a perfect grasp of the dynamics of Kishan camp. At the same time, he is also liberated. He can completely become a beheading weapon, specialized in killing people. Keep an eye on the most tyrannical ghost cultivators. Boom boom boom. Above the Lanling gold mine, golden light shone, and the Yanhuang battlefield came with a shock, making the Yanhuang immortal army and the cultivators of the Kanghai Dao sect below cheer. Then 8 teams appeared on the left and right, each attacking, as if the heavenly soldiers were coming. Wu Yu looked down and saw that there were indeed many ghost cultivators in the place surrounded by black energy. Those ghost cultivators were using many insidious and vicious methods to fight with all kinds of ghosts and wild ghosts, and their blood energy was soaring to the sky. The fighting was so fierce that the smell of blood was everywhere. The arrival of new reinforcements immediately scared off at least half of the ghost cultivators, but half of the ghost cultivators were still entangled or unwilling to stay in place. Wu Yu took the lead and rushed into the battlefield. Looking around, wherever you can see, there must be thousands of existences that are obviously ghost cultivators. Some are similar to the Yanhuang immortal army, and some even dare to come up as soon as they have condensed the golden elixir. All the ghost cultivators I see are extremely vicious. Ghost cultivators practice extremely evil ways. The more powerful the ghost cultivators are, the more heinous things they have done. They themselves rely on all kinds of ghosts, massacres, and all kinds of human blood and souls to strengthen themselves. They never care about merit, and as long as they have a way to strengthen themselves, they will naturally do anything. The 7 ghosts of the Red Sea and the ghost wings of the Black Mountain that Wu Yu had seen were undoubtedly of this kind. Especially the Black Mountain ghost wing, from its Sumuru bag, there are many evil things left, and it is unknown how many human lives were used to accumulate them. People living in the world of ghost cultivators are undoubtedly living in hell on earth. For example, Black Mountain Ghost Wing, who uses the Ghost Jew formation to improve his realm, is probably very common here. Therefore, facing such a group of ferocious existences, Wu Yu couldn't even think of showing mercy. The domineering Yanhuang Optimus Prime appeared in his hand, wearing Yanhuang immortal armor. He was like a tiger among sheep. For a while, as long as he encountered a ghost cultivator, no matter who it was, he could basically kill one with one stick. In fact, the resistance in the water is still very huge. Because the ghost cultivator is familiar with it, he takes advantage of it in the fight. However, Wu Yu's physical body is strong, and even his flesh and blood body can resist the water pressure, so compared to others, this underwater environment has a very limited impact on his combat effectiveness. Bang bang bang. A golden ray of light shuttled across the seabed, and ghost cultivators flew out one by one along the way. It was simple and crude. Wu Yu didn't even have to take a breath to deal with a ghost cultivator. He specifically targeted some people who were at least the 8th level of the Golden Core realm and above. Although they were at the same level as him, none of them could withstand Wu Yu's attack. There was also a cultivator in the Zifu Kanghai realm who was yelling. One person dealt with several Yanhuang immortal troops. When Wu Yu rushed up, he hit him on the head with a stick, causing his brain to explode. The reinforcements have arrived. The Yanhuang immortal army and the Kanghai Dao sect's people cheered as they relaxed completely. It is not easy for them to hold on until now, and they are terrified. Who is this one? Wearing the Centurion's Yanhuang immortal armor, how come he is in the Golden Core Dao realm, and how can he have such strong fighting power? I know, he is Wu Yu. Yes, it's him. Just when they were extremely excited, Wu Yu had disappeared in front of them, and the ghost cultivators along the way could be seen falling quickly. He used this weapon really violently. No matter what kind of magic weapon it was, it exploded right in front of his eyes. By this time, the Kishan camp had also completely joined the battle. At this time, the number of Xuanhuan immortal army suddenly increased. Even though there were many ghost cultivators, most of them were stragglers, fighting individually. When they encountered the Xuanhuan immortal army's battle formations and violent attack, everyone retreated. Among them, Qi Tianying is the most brave. Because Wu Yu's clone is in the lead, they are basically like sharp knives, stabbing each one accurately. Wu Yu's clone was the main force, and the Kishan camp behind them was too busy even to pick up the sumuru bag. Wu Yu was not interested in the sumi pouch of these little soldiers, and was willing to give it to them. He fought and sprinted, and picked up the big ones. Unfortunately, along the way, many ghost cultivators were defeated, most of them were seriously injured, and even the golden elixir was directly destroyed. Only a few were actually killed. It mainly depends on the smell of blood on the opponent. People who kill like hemp can't hide this. Live. But the sumuru bag has gained a lot. However, since there is only one Zifu Kanghai realm and most of the property is Yuan Jindan, it is estimated that there is not much in total. 4 teams of Xuanhuan immortal army joined the battlefield here, and with the ghost cultivators escaping a lot, the battle suddenly became one-sided. When the ghost cultivators saw this, they became frightened. They were not organized in the first place, so their escape was not restricted. Under the fierce attack of the Xuanhuan immortal army, it didn't take long for the ghost cultivators to be defeated and died in the battle. He died in battle and the others fled. Xuanhuan immortal army. He is the territory of our ghost cultivators. You have crossed the line. Our ghost cultivators are very angry. No matter how many of you come, as a matter of principle, we will kill as many as you have. Yes, this blue spirit gold mine belongs to us. The main force of our soul-eating demon sect will arrive soon. By then, it will be your death. You want to take away the belongings of our ghost cultivators in our territory. You are just talking nonsense. Kanghai Dao sect. Don't think you have won, the worst is yet to come. You are dead. While escaping, the ghost cultivators kept shouting and even revealed the names of several sects. In a short period of time, most of the ghost cultivators who could escape in front of them escaped. The remaining ones who were severely injured and unable to move were all sighing or yelling. The Kanghai Dao sect will deal with these people. After Wu Yu heard Huangfu's order to break the army, he should not pursue the enemy. The most important thing now is to set up a new line of defense. In this way, Wu Yu would withdraw his troops and go back. He checked the situation of Kishan camp. It may be because he had a clone to protect them. There were no serious injuries or deaths, but there were a few minor injuries that needed to be nursed back to health. However, the rewards are also great. Wu Yu stipulated that if the opponent is defeated in a team battle, the harvest will belong to the team, and everyone will finally divide it up. If the opponent is defeated by an individual, then it belongs to the individual. No one has an opinion on this point. Wu Yu is only in charge of Kishan camp. However, I heard that although the other 7 newly arrived battalions only had a brief handover, several of them seemed to have been seriously injured and 2 died, one of whom was from the Kingliu battalion. Wu Yu was also unhappy about this, because he knew that the battle here was very cruel, and if it were not for the protection of his avatar, Kishan camp would also die and suffer heavy losses. Commander, thank you for your protection. The brothers and sisters of Kishan camp naturally knew the benefits of Wu Yu. After the battle, their eyes were red, and they felt like they belonged to Kishan camp. Stop talking about this. I said I will do my best to protect you when I come here. However, in the end, it still depends on you. Cultivation is not easy, so work hard. Yes. Now the Yanhuang warship is lying directly above the Lanling gold mine, and the old and new Yanhuang immortal armies have merged together. Because 2 centurions were killed in the battle, the original team has been reorganized into 6, leaving about 600 people. Also looked very tired, and more injured. The original 8 centurions also had presidential leaders, but their strength was not as strong as the 4th level of Zifa Kanghai realm. Therefore, after Huangfu Pajun came, he directly served as the presidential leader of the 14 teams. On the side of Kanghai Dao sect, Wu Yu took a look and found that the combined strength is estimated to be equivalent to 2 to 3 battalions. They also participated in the battle. Their leader is the supreme protector of Kanghai Dao sect and the 3rd level of Zifa Kanghai realm. Named Gong Shuming, was a white-haired old man. At this time, he led the monks of the Kanghai Dao sect, half-kneeled to Huangfu Pajun, and said loudly, "Gong Shuming and the disciples of the Kanghai Dao sect have met Huangfu at last. I have come to expect you all from the Yanhuang immortal army. From today on, the disciples of Gong Shuming and Kanghai Dao sect will also accept the arrangements and dispatches of Commander Huangfu." Huangfu Pajun said, "You don't have to be polite to us. We also accepted the benefits and came here to work hard. You also know the efficiency and principles of our Yanhuang immortal army. I won't say more nonsense. Now that I'm here, then we will definitely defend this place for 3 months. Next, I will rearrange the deployment according to the situation on the east and west fronts. Please listen carefully. The first thing is the Yanhuang immortal army. There are a total of 14 teams in the Yanhuang immortal army. There are 2 fronts on the east and west. Beyond the east is the endless East China Sea, which is where the ghost cultivators come. Most of the ghost cultivators' attacks are launched directly here, so more teams need to be arranged here. The previous 6 teams, because there are many wounded, but because we have experience in dealing with ghost cultivators, we have dispatched 3 teams to station on the east side, a total of 8 teams to station on the east side. In other words, 5 of the 8 new teams are stationed on the east side. After all, they can't all be new. After all, they have just arrived and don't have much experience yet. They still need to have some communication with the original team. Wu Yu thought that he should be on the east side. Unexpectedly, after Huangfu Pajun made arrangements, he didn't even think about Kishan Camp. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 388. The 8 teams whose names I just read will be stationed on the east side. I will tell you the specific positions later. The remaining 6 teams will be stationed on the west side. I will arrange the specific positions in detail. Let me ask you first, do you have any objections to this? Among them, Chen Kangsong said, "Commander Huangfu, why are King Liu and I stationed on the west side? We are not weak, right? For the 8 new teams, they are all very strong." Huangfu Pajun said, "Ghost cultivators are cunning, and the tasks on the west side are also heavy. I am stationed on the east side. The west side naturally needs people with stronger abilities. You and Fan King Liu cooperate well, and the 2 camps are familiar with each other. I feel more at ease to put you on the west side." Hearing what Huangfu Pajun said, Chen Kangsong smiled and said, "With such an important task, Chen will not dare to slack off. After all, being praised in person, it is still comfortable in the heart." Fan King Liu was also happy, but still frowned and said, "Why does Wu Yu have to be on the west side with us?" Kangsong Camp, King Liu Camp, and Kishan Camp are 3 of the 8 teams that were separated to go to the west. Huangfu Pajun took a deep look at Wu Yu and said, "I saw it just now. Wu Yu has 10 clones, and the Kishan Camp has a special fighting style and is united. In the first battle, the casualties were the least. Wu Yu is also a person who can produce miracles. I put him on the west side for fear that there will be accidents on the west side. At that time, I hope he can protect it with the power of miracles." He praised Wu Yu more more than Chen Kangsong and others. When Chen Kangsong and others heard it, they were unhappy. Huangfu Pajun also had a headache and said, personal grudges are small, and such small conflicts should have been put down long ago. Don't still hold on to small things in this critical occasion, which will make me look down on you. We are all Yanhuang Immortal Army, don't let others laugh at us. After hearing this, Chen Kangsong and Fan Qingliu shut up. Huangfu Pajun was arranging the Kanghai Dao section. He divided the Kanghai Dao sect into two groups. One group was led by Gong Shuming, and the other group was led by its two elders. The two elders were in the second level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. Huangfu Pajun arranged Gong Shuming in the west and the two elders in the east. After all, the Kanghai Dao sect knew something about ghost cultivators. Having their people on both sides of the east and west would allow the Yanhuang Xianjun to better understand their opponents. There was indeed no problem with this allocation. The next step was to arrange the battle line. Wu Yu was almost on the left side of the west side. Gong Shuming was on his left and Fan Qingliu was on his right. Fan Qingliu and Chen Kangsong were in the middle, which was where the ghost cultivators attacked the most. This was also a trust in them. Of course, such a place was also full of oil and water. The battle line was arranged, and a plan for mutual assistance was also arranged. If any position was under too much pressure, Huangfu Pajun would directly use the Benwei Fu to notify assistance to dispatch troops and fill the pressure. If there is no objection, immediately take up defensive positions. If you are good at magic arrays, you can set up arrays in the positions you are good at. Yes. At once, the Yanhuang Immortal Army and the Kanghai Dao sect took up positions separately. Their positions were three-dimensional, that is, they not only prevented the front, but also prevented the direct attack from above. However, there was a Yanhuang warship blocking the top, and Huangfu Pajun could operate the Yanhuang warship, so the pressure from above would not be very great. Wu Yu led the Kishan camp to the west. It seems that Chen Kangsong and Fan Qingliu still couldn't let go of the trivial matter, so the two of them left first. Commander Wu. Gong Shuming called him. Wu Yu led the Kishan camp and went to the garrison position together with the cultivators of the Kanghai Dao sect. I heard about Commander Wu's name as early as a year ago. I didn't expect that Commander Wu would join the Yanhuang Immortal Army later, and I didn't expect that he would come here. It is also my luck to meet a genius like Commander Wu in this life. Gong Shuming was particularly polite to Wu Yu. In his mind, Wu Yu was obviously different from other centurions. I heard that Commander Wu's hometown is near the East China Sea. There are many mortals on the edge of our East China Sea, which is a relatively barren land. I didn't expect that a genius like Commander Wu could be born. It is really a blessing for the East China Sea. After all, they are half fellow villagers. Wu Yu got closer to him, chatted with him, and learned a little about the situation of Kanghai Dao sect. Do you know how many ghost cultivators there will be in the next 3 months? Wu Yu asked. Gong Shuming frowned and said, it's hard to estimate. After all, this is on the seabed. Although it is much farther from our Kanghai Dao sect than from the islands of the ghost cultivators in the East China Sea, they can always find excuses. However, we have withstood the most difficult waves of attacks. Now there are so many reinforcements, even the Yanhuang warships have arrived. I think the ghost cultivators will think twice before going against the Yanhuang Immortal Army. No matter what, we still have to fight against the enemy. Generally, there are few tasks that the Yanhuang Immortal Army cannot complete, but if the ghost cultivators who come are too strong, far exceeding the level of this mission, or even require the dispatch of 1,000-man captain, then the Yanhuang Immortal Army will retreat directly. After all, there is no need to pile up a large number of lives here. Gong Shuming also does not want more powerful ghost cultivators to come. Okay, then take care of each other next. Wu Yu and him temporarily separated and went to their own garrison. He is not very proficient in magic arrays now, so it is unrealistic to arrange a good magic array, so he directly arranged the array, divided the 10 teams, formed small groups, stretched the battle line and defended his own area. On both sides, there is Gong Shuming on one side and Fan Qingliu on the other, and the distance between them is not very large. Wu Yu sat directly in front of the center. In fact, there have always been ghost cultivators, but they were far away and not many people had gathered for the time being, so they did not dare to step forward and watch them from a distance. This matter was probably spread widely, so many ghost cultivators came. After arriving here, Wu Yu realized that there were so many ghost cultivators in the East China Sea. Surrounded by ghosts, the rolling sea water smells full of blood. Everyone is still a little uncomfortable with this kind of undersea combat. However, looking back, they still had a strong will to fight. After all, Wu Yu and his clone were at the front. In the Lanling gold mine, people from Canghai Daozong are stepping up mining. During the garrison period, there was total silence. Every once in a while, the major teams would report the situation to Huangfu Pajun in the east. There was a Lanling gold mine blocking the area, so they could not immediately see whether there was a battle in the east. Fortunately, there are Benway symbols, so they can communicate easily. As time passed, more and more ghost cultivators gathered in the distance. Even in the west, there were already more than 3,000. If they are allowed to rush over and rush into the mine, not only do they have to occupy the mine, but they also have to kill the people of Canghai Dao sect and steal the blue spirit gold that has been dug. It will be very troublesome. So if possible, don't let anyone go. Wu Yu saw the ghost cultivators gathering more and more people, and he felt that it would not work if they continued like this. If they became one, it would be easy to penetrate the defense line. I didn't expect there to be so many ghost cultivators. Gong Shuming also frowned deeply. Yanhuang Immortal Army. Canghai Dao sect. This is the territory of our ghost cultivator. We give you the last chance. If you don't leave here, we will definitely kill you. The ghost cultivators were shouting, threatening, and their voices were shrill. The sea water in their area turned into blood, hiding their figures so that Wu Yu could not see how many people there were there. I don't know if there is a master hidden there. Got to see it, he summoned a clone. This clone was not afraid of death, it was just a piece of hair. Of course, ghost cultivators can't tell the difference. He reported to Huangfu Pajun, and after receiving permission, he headed over there in his avatar. The ghost cultivators soon discovered him. Someone is coming. It's the Yanhuang Immortal Army. He is only one person, a centurion. Don't be afraid. No, he doesn't have the Yanhuang Immortal armor. He's not the centurion, but he seems to look the same. Without saying a word, Wu Yu rushed into the sea of blood they created. Now he had replaced the clone with the top psychic magic weapon, and he could almost use the super spiritual magic weapon. Suingxian's shocking swordsmanship. The clone was rampaging inside, killing violently along the way. Wu Yu roughly knew how many people had gathered. He mainly wanted to see how many strong people there were. What makes people feel a little more reassured is that there don't seem to be many strong people, and there are only a few Zifa Canghai realm. Moreover, they are not a collective, so they are very loose and chaotic, with no one to direct them at all. They are all ready to fish in troubled waters, which makes the situation better. We have to provoke them to attack and break up this wave first. Otherwise, when they gather more and more people, or even a whole team arrives, with a command, it will be very troublesome. Wu Yu knew it, so his clone was causing trouble and provocation. Are all ghost cultivators useless? There are thousands of people present, and no one is my match. Wu Yu just relied on a clone to kill 7 in and 7 out. After defeating dozens of people with his sword, he was able to escape intact and shouted loudly, "Shameless ghost cultivator, if you have the guts to come and fight. Don't leave." Suddenly, Many ghost cultivators chased him in anger. The centurions on the west side are all ready. Although the ghost cultivators gathered in large numbers, they still had to rely on people to lead the attack. Now that someone was leading the attack, everyone immediately rushed to follow the other ghost cultivators and began to attack. For a moment, the scene was extremely chaotic. It's still very quiet on the east side. Start the war, Wu Yu mentioned Yanhuang Optimus Prime, changed positions with his clone, and appeared directly in front of his defense line. Although he was the provocation, the ghost cultivator did not form a sharp attack. He simply rushed towards the Lanling gold mine, so the middle position faced the most places. Wu Yu also has many enemies here, but he knows it well. Ready. His Kishan camp, all under the protection of his clone, has assembled the Iron Torrent. Wu Yu himself was already carrying Yanhuang Optimus Prime, and before the ghost cultivator arrived, he rushed forward and killed everyone. There will be an update tonight. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 389. Of the more than 3,000 ghost cultivators, at least 2,000 were provoked by Wu Yu's clones and came shouting to kill them. At least 1,000 of them went to Qingliu camp and Kangsong camp. As for Wu Yu's side, he took a look and found that there were about 300 people. Compared to Kangsong camp, their pressure was lower. As I write this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Moreover, there are 10 clones of Wu Yu in the Kishan camp, which is almost equivalent to 10 Zifu-Kanghai realms. It is unbelievable that there are more than 15 Zifu-Kanghai realms in one team. At least Wu Yu knows it in his heart, not counting himself. In a head-on confrontation with Chen Kangsong and Fan Qingliu, neither of the other two battalions was a match for Kishan camp plus his own clone. There are at most 2 or 3 Zifu-Kanghai realm members in their team. There were only 300 ghost cultivators who were not in the Zifu-Kanghai realm. In order to give Kishan camp some training opportunities, Wu Yu let most of the ghost cultivators go and only caught some who behaved strangely or whose strength was at the level of Jindan Dao realm. There are more than 200 people who are above the 8th level, and they directly attack Kishan camp. In this incident, under the leadership of Wu Yu's clone, basically each team of 10 people needed to intercept more than 20 people. The battle was about to break out. Suddenly, in the vast sea area, countless seawater violently impacted, and blood filled the sky. In the battle of life and death in the immortal world, there was no mercy. To be merciful to others is to be cruel to yourself. Wu Yu also realized this, so he struck harder. Wherever Yanhuang Optimus Prime goes, a ghost cultivator can fly out with one stick. He spurts blood and flies back, and will either be crippled or die directly. In the deep sea, his whole body was burning with golden flames, and his eyes were like the scorching sunday. Not only did he confront Wu Yu physically, but also his eyes met with him. Many ghost cultivators' eyes burned directly, and they were instantly blinded. Kill this centurion. Capture the thief and capture the king. A group of ghost cultivators were frightened, so they summoned more than 20 people and surrounded Wu Yu. For a while, all kinds of ghost cultivators were attacking Wu Yu. The evil ghosts of wronged souls, the ferocious blood curse, and the rancid torrent are also mixed with filth and corpses. Wu Yu snorted coldly, and the entire sea area was shaken. Then Wu Yu directly enlarged the Yanhuang Optimus Prime in his hand. The Yanhuang Optimus Prime suddenly increased to 30 feet. Wu Yu swept out, and in a sudden time, just like chopping melons and vegetables, the corpse of the ghost cultivator flew out and was directly smashed into pieces by this overbearing super spiritual magic weapon. But within 20 breaths, there was no one around him who could deal with him. Looking at the side of Kishan camp, they are in the middle of a fierce battle, but Wu Yu's own clone is there, so he naturally knows to suppress more than 200 ghost cultivators. There is no problem at all. At least the ghost cultivators are suffering heavy casualties now, but Kishan camp has arrived. From beginning to end, there were no real casualties. Basically, if something goes wrong, Wu Yu's own clone can immediately make up for it. At this time, on the east side, due to the movement on the west side, a large number of ghost cultivators gathered were afraid of falling behind, so they scrambled to be the first and launched an attack. In fact, Wu Yu's ideas coincided with Huangfu Pajun's. These ghost cultivators are all stragglers, gathered outside and waiting, just waiting for an opportunity to attack together. No one is taking the lead now, so they are all waiting. If this continues, more and more ghost cultivators will gather. By then, there will be tens of thousands of ghost cultivators on both sides. If a few more powerful ghost cultivators attack, they will suffer heavy casualties regardless of whether they can defend it. The two centurions who died in battle were basically in a similar situation. When Huangfu Pajun was about to do this, Wu Yu asked for permission first. In fact, he knew Wu Yu and knew that he had such experience. Sometimes, in terms of wisdom and strategy, mortals are no worse than ascetics, or even stronger. Because mortals' conditions are limited, they sometimes come up with more ways to determine victory or defeat in addition to their combat power. At least in Wu Yu's small area, the effect is very good. The ghost cultivators who attacked were completely defeated in a short time. Injury, escape, death. The Kishan camp was already besieging the ghost cultivators. Seeing how brave Wu Yu was, the other ghost cultivators did not dare to come this way. Suddenly a talisman came. Wu Yu caught it and saw that it was Huangfu Pajun's dispatch. Wu Yu, support Chen Kangsong and Fan Qingliu. Obviously Huangfu Pajun knew the situation here very well. Chen Kangsong and his 2 battalions were facing more than 2 opponents from Wu Yu, and the ghost cultivators seemed to see that the gap between the 2 sides was relatively large, so they all rushed to that side. Past. Secure this place. Wu Yu didn't think too much. There was still his clone here, so it wasn't a big problem. The most important thing for a soldier is to obey orders and dispatch, so he didn't hesitate at all on this issue. Speaking of Yanhuang Optimus Prime, he jumped on the bottom of the sea and rushed away immediately, killing the ghost cultivators along the way. He immediately arrived at the area controlled by Chen Kangsong and the others. The place was already in chaos. Because there were too many ghost cultivators, there were still many ghost cultivators on the ground. There are many corpses of the Yanhuang Immortal army. The main reason for this is that Chen Kangsong and Fan Qingliu were restrained, so the Yanhuang Immortal army here was basically scattered, and they all fought independently. Once they were besieged by ghost cultivators, they were very likely to die in battle. Big. After all, ghost cultivation is so sinister and sinister that if you fall victim to it, you are likely to die. In this chaotic battle, Wu Yu quickly found these 2 people. Wu Yu encountered 1 or 2 purple Mansion Kanghai realm, and they were all in the first level, so Wu Yu quickly defeated them. However, in the central position, there were actually 2 purple Mansion Kanghai realm, and they were in the 3rd level. These 2 ghost cultivators completely restricted Chen Kangsong and his partner. Therefore, Chen Kangsong asked Huangfu Pajun for help and summoned Wu Yu. The one who really sent money is here. For Wu Yu, other ghost cultivators were just small fights, and defeating dozens of them would not bring much money. The wealthiest ones were often the opponents of Chen Kangsong and Fan Qingliu. These 2 people are very proud, but in the battle with ghost cultivators, not only did they not have the upper hand, but they were at a disadvantage. Obviously, they are not as adaptable to underwater battles as ghost cultivators. Therefore, they can't even take care of themselves. How can they protect other Yanhuang Immortal army? There is no time to lose. Wu Yu was swift and domineering, and the Yanhuang Optimus Prime was invincible. With the momentum of sweeping thousands of troops, he inserted himself behind Chen Kangsong's opponent. That was an old ghost cultivator who had been cultivating for a long time. He was skinny and had black spots on his face. One of his eyes was even blind, and the place where he left was also flashing green light. This ghost cultivator was fighting fiercely with Chen Kangsong. The mysterious art of heaven and earth that Chen Kangsong used condensed a large number of trees on the seabed, forming a tough forest. The ghost cultivator had just controlled the black flames and turned into thousands of tigers, which just restrained him. At this time, he was burning his forest rapidly, and Chen Kangsong wasted his dodge. The black flames burned the sea water to smoke. Wu Yu suddenly appeared behind the ghost cultivator. The ghost cultivator still saw him, but Chen Kangsong saw him. Chen Kangsong instantly realized that Wu Yu was here to support him. However, he was a little unhappy in his heart, and he didn't want Wu Yu to see his embarrassed appearance. Fortunately, he continued to fight with the ghost cultivator, and probably didn't want to give his opponent to Wu Yu. Wu Yu was not polite to him. He instantly appeared behind the ghost cultivator, and without saying a word, he attacked directly, and his first move was a killing move. In this rolling torrent of sea water, he held the Yanhuang Optimus Prime in one hand and formed a seal with the other hand. His fingers moved rapidly, and soon several black dragons were swimming and shuttling in his hand, a total of 8. At that moment, Wu Yu let out a long roar, shaking the earth. Prison Dragon and Confine Heaven Technique. His 5 fingers were immediately inserted into the seabed, and with a loud bang, the sand and gravel on the seabed exploded, and a huge black vortex suddenly formed under the feet of Wu Yu, Chen Kangsong, and the ghost cultivator. At this time, Chen Kangsong was fighting against the ghost cultivator, and was swallowed by the black vortex for a while, and he could not stand steadily. The ghost cultivator was also shocked. He didn't expect that there was a mysterious art of heaven and earth behind him. He was about to break away, but at this moment, 8 huge dragons made of black fog suddenly rushed out from 8 directions in the black vortex. The 8 dragons rushed out and rolled around. In a very short moment, they entangled with each other and entangled the panicked ghost cultivator in the middle. Looking for death, the ghost cultivator was furious and struggled wildly. However, Wu Yu used this dragon prisoning technique for the first time, so how could he let him escape? After the mysterious technique of heaven and earth was performed, he held the Yanhuang Optimus Prime with both hands, jumped high, and smashed down like the sun. Huangdi Pity Formation. On the Yanhuang Optimus Prime, many magic weapon formations suddenly started to operate. At that moment, Wu Yu's golden light burst out, and the dazzling golden light covered the Kishan camp, and could even be seen on the east side. It was as if a huge sun suddenly rose on the seabed on the west side. Ah! The ghost cultivator was hit by Wu Yu's prison dragon and heaven technique. At the moment when he was unable to move and struggled hard, Wu Yu's Yanhuang Optimus Prime smashed on his head, and his soul was instantly scattered and he died on the spot. The golden light suddenly dissipated, and Wu Yu took the ghost cultivator's property, including his super spiritual magic weapon, at this time. While Chen Kangsong was still in shock, Wu Yu took the things and left. This was the first time Chen Kangsong saw Wu Yu's terrifying fighting power. This is not a joke. Wu Yu took so long to find this prison dragon and heaven technique just to cooperate with the attack of Yanhuang Optimus Prime. At the same time of shock, surprise, and unbelievable in his heart, he also felt depressed and defeated. In addition, Wu Yu took away all his opponent's things in front of him. Chen Kangsong was immediately angry. Wu Yu, he is my opponent, put down his property, that is mine. Wu Yu looked back at him and said, bullshit, if it weren't for me, you wouldn't be able to grab a hair. By the way, if you still entangle with me about this matter, your Kangsong camp is probably finished. Chen Kangsong was extremely angry. After all, this wave of attacks was attracted by Wu Yu, and now they are the ones who suffer. But it is undeniable that Kangsong camp is close to collapse now, and he is needed to stabilize it. We will settle our accounts after the war, Chen Kangsong gritted his teeth. But Wu Yu has already rushed towards Fan Qingliu's opponent. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 390. Fan Qingliu's opponent was younger, and he had already seen the huge noise caused by Wu Yu's execution of his companion. So at this time, he wanted to escape. However, Fan Qingliu intercepted him. "Wu Yu, don't try to steal my opponent," Fan Qingliu screamed angrily. As I write this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Wu Yu also stopped in front of him. He looked at the mature ghost cultivator. This ghost cultivator was huge, more than 1 foot tall. Even Wu Yu reached his waist, like a terrifying giant beast. His physical strength is very good, his whole body seems to be made of bronze, he has no hair, his head is as smooth as a bronze ball, his face is ferocious, and his strength is huge. In a head-on battle, Fan Qingliu does not dare to resist him. Wu Yu crossed his arms and said with a smile, "Then I want to see how long you can hold on, and how long your Qingliu camp can hold on." He was in no hurry to do anything. But Fan Qingliu couldn't hold on. On the one hand, she was greatly restricted when fighting on the bottom of the sea. If she really fought, she probably wouldn't be able to defeat her opponent. Moreover, under the siege of more than 500 ghost cultivators, more and more people in Qingliu camp have died. If she continues to fight unwisely for personal gain, she will suffer even greater losses. Fan Qingliu is not a fool, and he also knows that some things need to be given up. She suddenly looked at Wu Yu and said sternly, "Then I'll leave it to you, but you don't have a chance to make a sneak attack. Do you think this ghost cultivator can be dealt with?" She was smart and left directly, leaving Wu Yu alone with her opponent. Indeed, it was with Chen Kangsong's help that Wu Yu was able to defeat his opponent so smoothly and quickly. Fan Qingliu knew that his opponent was powerful and he had no hope of defeating him, so he gave up to Wu Yu. This approach was much smarter than Chen Kangsong. "What's your name? If you dare to kill my senior brother, you will die a good death," the bronze ghost cultivator had a loud voice. He did not chase Fan Qingliu, but stayed in front of Wu Yu. Both of them are strong-willed people, and this clash of eyes instantly caused an uproar. Many people around noticed the movement here. Wu Yu took a look and saw that the Qishan camp had been resolved. Chen Kansong and Fan Qingliu had been liberated here, so the battle situation could be stabilized quickly. After all, except for the man in front of him and the man who died just now, Chen Kansong could be blocked. There really aren't many. The two of them are worth more than 200 ghost cultivators. The task assigned to him by Huangfu Pajun has been completed, and the next step is to fight for himself. Stop talking nonsense and see life and death under your hands, Wu Yu's Yanhuang Optimus Prime pointed at his opponent and said in a deep voice. "You are really brave. There are not many people like you among the cultivators." The bronze ghost cultivator's voice was like steel rubbing against each other, which was very unpleasant. He held a super spiritual weapon in his hand, which was a huge mace. The densely packed fangs in it were probably the teeth of some kind of demon. They were not only sharp, but also had some tearing effects. There are also many magic weapon arrays. Roar! This monster-like ghost cultivator tore through the vast waves and charged towards Wu Yu, like an undersea shark. Humph! At this time, Wu Yu's body continued to grow bigger, golden hair sprouted out one after another, and his whole body turned into a golden ape, rough, ferocious, even anti-irritable and crazy. Monster! The bronze ghost cultivator didn't know the situation and thought he was a demon. A demon can also be the Yanhuang Immortal Army. He was stunned. Wu Yu didn't care about that. At this moment, he was using his peak strength to perform violent arts after the immortal ape transformation. At that moment, Wu Yu was extremely violent. There was even a rich blood color in his eyes, and his thick arms held looking at Yanhuang Optimus Prime, a sudden roar erupted, and the whole person rushed towards the bronze ghost cultivator like an arrow from a string. Boom! At the moment of attack, a submarine mountain behind him was shaken and exploded into smoke and dust. The Flame Emperor opens the sky formation. With a sweep of the stick, endless golden flames swept across, and the golden sun appeared again. But unlike the golden light last time, this time it was flames, flames without diameter, spewing out from the depths of the seabed, instantly drowning the bronze ghost cultivator. Chen Kansong and Fan Qingliu were fighting while watching Wu Yu's jokes. How could they have imagined that under such a frontal impact, Wu Yu would once again launch a move that was so incredible that it even surpassed the power of the previous move? Terrorist attack. Of course, they don't know that this is the result of violent magic. This is Wu Yu's sure kill move. Roar. The ghost cultivator also roared and rushed away. The mace in his hand set off thousands of emerald green lights, turning into a huge pack of wolves, charging forward, but was instantly engulfed by Wu Yu's golden flames. Face to face, a peak, tough, and passionate charge. Only the stronger can defeat the opponent. At this moment many people are focusing their attention here. Boom! For a time, the golden flames swept across 8,000 miles, burning the bottom of the sea and raising thick smoke from the entire sea area, even submerging the battlefield to the east. There was an explosion, and only Chen Kansong's level could see Fan Qingliu's opponent die on the spot amid Wu Yu's blast. This was expected by Wu Yu. He used Yanhuang Optimus Prime and violent techniques to overwhelmingly defeat his opponent, killing him on the spot. Although the opponent was physically strong, under the shock of Yanhuang Optimus Prime, he died in an instant, without even a chance to resist. As for his samurai bag, of course Wu Yu had to hold it in his hands immediately. Practice is robbery. Now that I review the sentence, I understand its meaning even more. Robbery is not a derogatory term, but an inevitable path to practice. Even if others cannot compete for it, then it must be competed with heaven and earth. Otherwise, how could the spiritual energy of heaven and earth enter the body and be controlled by you and me? Only by strength can one be chivalrous. The latter sentence is the premise of the previous one. First of all, ascetics need to be chivalrous, and chivalry is the prerequisite for plunder. However, to achieve chivalry, you also need to be strong. How to be strong? Of course it's plunder. Chivalry requires strength, and strength requires plunder. This has been the essence of spiritual practice throughout the ages. After experiencing this brutal battle, gaining precious results, and finding the path to the 9th level of the Golden Core realm, Wu Yu had a profound understanding of this sentence. However, after using the violent technique, his muscles were still sore, and his physical combat effectiveness was greatly reduced. It was impossible to kill two masters of the same level in a row without getting tired. Therefore, he planned to retreat to the Kishan camp. He tried his best in today's battle. In terms of merit, he was definitely the first in the game. On this side, Chen Kansong and Fan Qingliu also stabilized the battlefield. With their help, the Yanhuang Immortal army suppressed their opponents. The casualties stopped increasing instantly. It was only a matter of time before all the opponents were eliminated. Wu Yu, don't leave. Unexpectedly, Chen Kansong and Fan Qingliu, who were finally able to get away at this time, intercepted Wu Yu after he fought. In fact, the faces of these two people are still very ugly now. They did not expect that Wu Yu could be so ferocious. Wu Yu actually killed all the opponents that they could not defeat. Wu Yu's eyes were like fire, sweeping over them. He said, "You two have repeatedly come to me for trouble and entanglement. If you are still stubborn, my patience will be limited. Even if you two are my colleagues, I may not be able to control myself and let you two pay some price and remember." Wu Yu didn't argue with them, but they thought Wu Yu was bullying him. Chen Kansong and Fan Qingliu swallowed their saliva and looked at each other. Finally, Chen Kansong hardened and said, "Don't scare us, we are not 3-year-old children. This is not because I provoke you repeatedly, but because you provoke us. Today you stole our opponent, and you have gained so much, you should show some expression, right?" Obviously they were still jealous of Wu Yu's gains. Just 2 super spiritual magic weapons are worth 300,000 merit. Wu Yu smiled. He glanced at these 2 guys and said with a smile, "Why don't you 2 take a pee and look in the mirror? Look at how petty you are. If I were you, I wouldn't have the nerve to talk to me at this time. Why? Dare you come up and ask for the baby? Are you out of your mind?" Not to mention that he was tired now, even if he was seriously injured, Wu Yu was not afraid of them. "How dare you, Wu Yu? How dare you talk to us like this?" Fan Qingliu's face turned pale. Seeing that the 2 sides were about to fight, Huangfu Pajun came over from the other side. He glared and said, "Chen Kangsong, Fan Qingliu, I have seen all the details today. If you 2 are still so stubborn and confused, I want you 2 to get out first. There are so many centurions in Yanhuang Emperor City, so many are willing to take on this task. The battle to the east should have ended. The 2 of them are naturally unwilling to give in, but now everyone is watching the situation here." The people in Kishan camp were also filled with righteous indignation and shouted, "These 2 concubines are really shameless. When we, Commander Wu, saw that they suffered heavy casualties, we went to support them. Without letting them help, we killed 2 powerful enemies ourselves. These 2 are terrible enemies. It's incredible that he actually wants to ask for the spoils of war from Commander Wu. It's absolutely incredible. He's the best in the world." Fang Kaoken is a gentle man, and he couldn't help but say at this time, being a human requires some dignity, even the most basic dignity. What's the difference between that and an animal? Fighting side by side with such a person is simply a shame for us. Everyone is a clear and understanding person, so they naturally know the truth. This matter also made Fan Qingliu and the others jealous and hot-headed for a while. Thinking about it now, Wu Yu already had the upper hand, and asking for the spoils at this time was indeed at a disadvantage. Now that everyone is condemning it, it is simply a shame. The 2 of them wanted to find a crack in the ground and crawl in. Of course, they hated Wu Yu even more in their hearts, but at this time they had to pretend to admit their mistake. Chen Kangsong said, "I'm sorry everyone, I didn't understand this matter." "Apologize," Huangfu Pajun said calmly. He still hopes for reconciliation. Wu Yu smiled and said, "Yes, you have to apologize to me." Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 391. Now in full view. When Chen Kangsong saw the crowd's gaze, he looked at himself and Fan Qingliu with disgust. Although he felt even more depressed and angry, he still knew that he had fallen into Wu Yu's hands this time. "It's all my fault for being impulsive." Sister Fan, Chen Kangsong said softly to Fan Qingliu. Fan Qingliu was undoubtedly even more embarrassed, especially the curses from the Yanhuang immortal army of Kishan camp, which made her even more angry. She is not as rational as Chen Kangsong, and is even on the verge of having a seizure. Fortunately, Chen Kangsong was there before her, and he cupped his hands to Wu Yu and said, "Wu Yu, I'm sorry, this is my fault." Although he was apologizing, his tone was also one of reluctance. If the pressure continues, it will probably cause Chen Kangsong and Chen Kangsong to rebound, affecting subsequent battles and defenses. Therefore, Huangfu Pajun waited for him to finish and said, "That's right, we are the Yanhuang immortal army, a whole, and we are all brothers, don't hate each other. Now the crisis has been resolved, but it will still be a long time, and we still have a heavy responsibility, so keep your spirits up." After that, he looked at everyone and then turned back to the east side. Wu Yu got a lot of benefits in his hands, so he didn't bother to waste time with Chen Kangsong. At this time, he took Qixiniying, who was almost unscathed, back to the place where he was stationed. Chen Kangsong and Fan Qingliu clenched their fists and watched Wu Yu leave with gloomy expressions. Chen Kangsong, are we being bullied like this? Fan Qingliu glared at him. No, Qingliu, I didn't expect him to be so strong. Before he finished speaking, Fan Qingliu interrupted him and said coldly, you are so useless, why don't you die? I can't swallow this breath. If you don't stand up for me, don't come to me again. Chen Kangsong was very anxious, but there were still many people watching around him. He could only hold Fan Qingliu and said secretly, don't worry, Sister Fan, I must come up with a way to embarrass Wu Yu with this opportunity. Is it enough to be embarrassed? Fan Qingliu looked at him silently. You want? Fan Qingliu smiled coldly and said, I want him to kneel down and kowtow to me to admit his mistake. I want to destroy his foundation and destroy his reputation as a genius. Let's see if he still dares to humiliate me. Chen Kangsong said in shock, this is not good. It's the same thing again. If you can't do that, don't call me Sister Fan anymore. When Fan Qingliu said this, Chen Kangsong was afraid. He could only agree, and then he was thinking hard about how to win Wu. Where is Yu? Wu Yu quickly returned to his stationed position. Gong Shuming came up at this time. He saw Wu Yu's fight and couldn't help but said, Commander Wu is really a proud man of heaven. However, there are still two short-sighted guys who want to offend you. Wu Yu smiled and said, villains are like ghosts. These two people are short-sighted and care about everything. They will not achieve anything. Although they were all at the third level of the Kanghai realm in Zifu, Wu Yu didn't take them seriously. In this case, Gong Shuming will not disturb Commander Wu from counting the harvest. Gong Shuming was very smart. When he saw Wu Yu sitting down, he knew that he had a plan to practice cultivation on the spot. If ghost cultivators attack, if you find out in advance, please notify me quickly. Can you? Gong Shuming said, of course there is no problem. Commander Wu, just rest assured. After Gong Shuming left, Wu Yu deployed again at Qixin camp. His clone didn't need to practice for the time being, so he was actually sitting in charge. He could detect any disturbance. After finishing it, he began to count the huge gains during this period, including the two people just now. Not to mention the many magic weapons and Taoist scriptures. After all, these are all artifacts of ghost cultivators and are of no use to Wu Yu, so he can only sell them back to Zhang Tian. As for the elixirs, there are countless types of elixirs. Among them, the most critical Kanghai Yuankai elixirs, a total of more than 500 were harvested, which is equivalent to more than 500,000 Yuanjin elixirs. There are also many Yuanjin itself. Wu Yu counted them and found that there were more than 100,000 Yuanjin in total. There are many other kinds of elixirs, and if they are sold, they are estimated to be worth 100,000 yuan of golden elixirs. Therefore, if Wu Yu sells the yuan of golden elixirs that he currently disdains to use and other kinds of elixirs, he will probably be able to collect a total of 700,000 yuan of elixirs. More than 100 Kanghai Yuankai pills. This is a huge fortune. Later, he sold some super spiritual magic weapons, and coupled with his achievements of 150,000 yuan, his wealth obviously easily surpassed 1,000 Kanghai Yuankai pills. After all, he had dealt with too many ghost cultivators in the past few days, and most of the property went into Wu Yu's pocket. Once upon a time, Bai Shan Mo used 1,000 golden elixirs to get Wu Yu to leave Nangong Wei. Today, he finally has almost such wealth on his own. I have to say that taking on the task of ghost cultivating is indeed a lot of work. Especially Chen Kangsong's two opponents just now. Wu Yu distributed some Yuan Jindan to Qixiniying. Most of what he uses now is Kanghai Yuankai pill. More than half a year of hard training, refining alchemy, and drawing magic circles gave him a superb understanding of the Tao. Now that he once again had a large amount of Canghai Yuan Kai pills, of course he did not hesitate to start refining the pills. Strong, be stronger. Wu Yuk has been competing with the two from Xuanhuan. He doesn't want to lose. He can use Qinfui as a template in Yanhuang Emperor City. He only needs to surpass Qinfui, and he will probably surpass them. Therefore, even if the enemy was in the lead, he was still very courageous and started to refine the Canghai Yuan Kai pill. Moreover, relying on his physical strength, he even took several Canghai Yuan Kai pills together. The speed of his refining made the monks in Kishan camp the readers were dumbfounded. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. How is it possible? How can a normal person refine it so quickly? Isn't Commander Wu afraid of the Chi Si cave exploding? Yes, we don't have a Zifu. Even if we had a Zifu, we wouldn't be able to swallow it at this speed. If you ask me, Commander Wu is not a normal person. If he were a normal person, how could he be at the 8th level of the Golden Core realm like me, but have the combat power to fight against the 3rd level of the Zifu Canghai realm? Everyone was surprised and disgusted, staring at Wu Yu intently. I estimate that Commander Wu has reached the limit of this level in terms of Tao understanding, so he just lacks elixirs. Now that he has obtained a large amount of elixirs during the battle, I guess it is only a matter of time before he reaches the 9th level of the Golden Elixir realm. In fact, Wu Yu is obviously younger than them. However, the cultivators in Kishan camp, whether middle-aged or even 1 or 2 old, regarded Wu Yu as their senior. As they expected, after consuming hundreds of Canghai Yuan Kai pills, Wu Yu directly upgraded the pills to the 9th level of the Golden Pill Dao realm. The light golden elixir was flowing all over the body and was of extremely high quality. The elixir alone could probably compete with the 1st level of Zifu Canghai realm's Zifu Yuan power, or even be higher. Coupled with the physical strength, violent techniques, etc., it is normal for the combat power to be so terrifying. However, Wu Yu actually gradually felt that as the enemy became stronger, the advantages of Namo Baya King Buddha's golden body were decreasing. It was not that others Wu Yu's physical body has also become stronger, but it is his majestic Zifu Yuan power that is overwhelming. The suppression of Wu Yu's physical body becomes stronger with age. For example, the Zifu Yuan power, the 4th level of Zifu Canghai realm, is so powerful that it is terrifying. Degree. If I want to continue to fight my opponents beyond the 4th level or even the 5th level, I must strengthen my body again. Unfortunately, the underground Haori furnace is not easy to find. It is indeed difficult to improve the indestructible body of the Vajra. Next, colleagues who are looking at luck can only try to catch up with others by quickly improving the elixir. Every time at this time, I will think of Xuanhuan. And Xuanhuan, the battlefield of life and death, would always make Wu Yu full of passion to take the next step in cultivating Taoism. At least the 9th level of Jindan Dao realm has been achieved. It was very dangerous to deal with the 3rd level of Zifu Canghai realm before, but now it is probably safer. And Wu Yu still has a relatively large amount of Canghai Yuan Kai pill. Now that the level has been improved, the clones can naturally continue to refine the golden pill and become stronger. Therefore, Wu Yu is not afraid of shocking the world. After he completes the upgrade, the 10 clones will immediately start tempering the golden elixir. They spent more money to upgrade to the ultimate level, which is similar to Wu Yu Danyuan, but because of the extremely high quality of the high-grade celestial immortal technique, they have power equivalent to the 1st level of Zifu Canghai realm. This process cost Wu Yu a total of more than 300 Canghai Yuan Kai pills. The number of Canghai Yuan Kai pills in his hand is less than 100. The remaining Yuan Jin pills are too slow to be tempered. Wu Yu plans to go back and exchange them for Canghai Yuan Kai pills directly for use. There is no urgent need for pills yet, but at least the harvest just now has been almost consumed. Now with the addition of clones to fight, the 11 of me should be able to create some miracles. However, he is also eager to quickly enter the Zifukanghai realm. In that case, he can start to practice the second magical power. Of course, there is also the third gate of the 72 changes. The immobilization technique and the violence technique both gave Wu Yu a trump card, and he had relied on these two techniques to overcome many difficulties. More than 10 days have passed since this sprint. Because the ghost cultivators were defeated last time, there are no other ghost cultivators gathering for the time being. Even if there are, they are watching from a distance and do not dare to move forward. After all, there were nearly 8,000 ghost cultivators on the east and west sides combined last time, and they were completely defeated by the Yanhuang Immortal army. Those who escaped from this battle were now frightened and did not dare to go forward again. After all, they also know that Yanhuang Emperor City is the #1 force in the Divine Continent. Nothing else. After finishing training, Wu Yu returned to alert status and asked Kishineing. There is nothing else for the time being, but we feel that it has been a bit too quiet recently. After all, there are still more than 2 months left, so we can't relax. Wu Yu nodded and used his original talisman to contact Huangfu Pajun. Ghost cultivators are like hungry wolves. They will not give up so easily when they see food. Now they are quiet. It can only be said that they have no better way, or they are already deploying it. However, we focus on defense, so we can't go out. Detection. If we go out for reconnaissance, the risk will be too great. After all, everyone has the same merit, and no one wants to go out and die. I can let the clone go out and take a look. Huangfu Pajun naturally couldn't ask for it.